That's a
I'd
lot.
say well, that's okay. 15 of them were extraordinarily generic.
Okay.
And so we're not going to talk about like attend networking events. Hi, no shit. That sounds super. Um,
That's right. Promo UPFront. Money in the bank. The mullet's a full podcast.
just a good old boys, never meaning no harm. Beats all you never saw, been in trouble with the law since the day they were born.
Yeah.
That's right. That's exactly how we kick off episode number 220 of the Promo UPFront podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Bill Petrie. With me, as always, it's the rear admiral of the return to office movement, the one and only Kashakton Kirby Hasseman. Kirby, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. Had whirlwind trip down to Atlanta for the Gap event, which was just great. And honestly,
You were there? Wait, you were there?
yeah. Well, it was really good to hang out with you. And so it was good to see you. So that's a highlight. And so, but you know, when you do something like that, then you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get back to the office. I got to get a few things done. And so it's been wonderful to be back. So I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Same whirlwind trip. Drove down Sunday, hung out with you all day Sunday, watched a little football. I had a great time. We spoke on Monday 3 times in a row in the same room, which was kind of fun and unique.
Yeah.
You flew back, I drove back, and then just been running and gunning ever since.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to believe we're already almost in the middle. We're in the middle of September. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
it is
amazing.
crazy.
But you know what? It is crazy. And you know what, Kirby? Interestingly enough, that got me to thinking. You know, we know it's the middle of September, but you know what's right around the corner, Kirby?
What's that, Bill?
That's winter. That's right. Your favorite time of year.
Yeah, right.
Winter's right around the corner. And with that, there's no better time than today, like right now, to help your clients get winter ready with the best promo mats in the land from our good pals over at Logo Mats. You know, Kirby, for 20 years, Logo Mats has been providing promotional branded mats of every size and shape. Indoor, outdoor, point of purchase mats that are bright, bold, and durable, and they're made right here in the USA. Now, as we approach winter, it's important to have very clean and very safe facilities, and Logo Mats can help your clients do that while elevating the brand. Here's a couple new products they have. The Water Hog Impressions HD mat, that's number 2381. It's got HD digital printing, so you can put anything on the mat. It got this water dam border that holds up to 1.5 gallons of water per square
Crazy.
yard, which is pretty amazing. And it's a hybrid mat, so it's great for scraping and drying shoes. They also have the Berber Impressions HD 2283, again HD digital printing, so it's going to look awesome all over. 80% recycled content, reclaimed from plastic, and it's easy to clean. You can vacuum it, you can hose it off. Now, Kirby, living in Ohio as you claim to do, I know you have clients that truly appreciate the branding and safety provided by our good pals over at Logo Mats.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Water Hog product, as you mentioned, they've got several products that are really good, and we went to we actually purchased them so that we could have them on site and we could show people what the imprinting looked like, all that sort of thing. And that Water Hog, it really does, like you talk about saving your carpet, saving your entranceway, plus it makes a big impression, and it really does an amazing job. I've not tried to pour a gallon of water, but it does take that slush and that snow off the shoes, and so huge fan.
Well, I guarantee you when I come up to visit you next, I am bringing several gallons of water just to test that bad boy out, Kirby. Now, as a reminder, when you work with Logo Mats, not only is everything made right here in the USA, which we all love, there is no setup fee, never an art fee, and a minimum order quantity of 1. That's right. And they are truly only happy when your client's happy. What a great partner, right?
Yeah.
So head over to logomatsllc.com to see how you can help your clients stand out where others are merely content to fit in. Now, Kirby, after a kind of a compressed week, because we were both out of the office, I want to, on behalf of all 6 of our listeners, I believe we're up to now,
We're growing.
I want to thank you for having the courage to podcast with me this morning. Now, without further ado, we have the upfront section of the podcast. That's how we lead off the podcast. You and I go back and forth. Who is going to have that this week? It is you. So, without any more delays, without any further ado, without any additional preamble, I'd like you to go ahead and tell me what you'd like to talk about in the upfront section of the podcast, which, as a reminder, is the first part of the podcast that we kick off every week. This is episode number 220. We've done this 220 times. So again, if you would go ahead, get that topic ready, go ahead. It's your dime, your dance floor. This topic, this section is about you. So Kirby, why don't you go ahead and let us know what that topic is?
Okay. So I think there's a couple of actual ways I could go on this one. But I found this one to be interesting, and it is specific to the promotional products industry. So I don't know if you saw, but Tervis recently declared bankruptcy. And then like just yesterday, I think it was, as we're recording this, the Koozie Group inks a new partnership with Tervis. So essentially what that's going to mean is the Koozie Group will become the exclusive supplier of Tervis products in the promo industry. In the past, Tervis definitely, they sold through Koozie, but they also sold direct. Not direct. They sold, you could buy as a distributor, you could buy. I want to make sure I'm not saying that wrong.
No, they were a factory just like any other supplier.
But not going to end users. I mean you could buy from Tervis is what I meant. Okay, so I just want to clear it, but that's not going to be the case anymore. That has been the announcement, and I actually thought that was interesting, and I kind of wanted your take on this. I have an opinion if you want me to go first.
Your call. It's your dime, your dance.
Okay, I'll go first.
You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I actually thought this could be a real positive. I mean, time always will tell on this sort of thing. But Tervis, from a distributor, from a customer perspective, I felt like they were struggling to market to distributors. It was like they had this great product. They have this great product. It's got a retail presence. It's got a brand, but it was like they couldn't decide how they wanted to go to market in the branded merch space. They'd be like kind of friendly to it. And it was kind of off and on. They had a relationship that I felt sometimes they made it difficult. So like, you place an order, it would take them a long time to get the order entered. Their production times were pretty long, all that sort of thing. And so my initial reaction here is, if you partner with an organization like Koozie Group, who's been selling in the promotional product space for a long time and has the infrastructure, obviously time will tell, but I'm like, I think this could be really good. So that was my initial take.
Yeah. So Tervis, as a standalone supplier to the promotional products industry, right? They had two arms. They had the retail arm, which obviously is their main focus, and then they have the promotional products arm. I'd say over the last 3-4 years, they have really scaled back their efforts to have a presence in the promotional products industry, to the point where I think it's absolutely tarnished the brand in the promotional products industry. So this is, they're in Chapter 11 bankruptcy now. They're reorganizing. I've been through that with Halo a million years ago. So, obviously I hope they turned around. I like Tervis products. I still have some, but I think this is too little too late. I think, the challenge Tervis has always had, it is really a retail brand. And it's really a regional brand. In the Southeast, Tervis is ubiquitous with high quality drinkware and all that. And it's great drinkware.
Yeah.
I think they always struggle to, for people in the Pacific Northwest to understand what the hell's a Tervis. All right. Down here, Tervis is a noun where I live. So I think that's always been their struggle. To me, I don't want to say it's too little too late, because I do think over time it will work out very well for both entities. But this is something that should have happened 2 years ago, because I will tell you, leading up to this action, this bankruptcy, and again, having I don't know if it's the benefit, but having the experience of going through it before, I could smell this bankruptcy a mile away. You can tell when people are talking about, we're not getting paid. I can't, when it's difficult to give them money, I'm giving you an order. Why can't you process my order? Because it gives you money. Those are the type of signals that indicate that there's probably some sort of Chapter 11 action on the horizon. Again, I hope they get through it all. But to me, this is a partnership that absolutely should have happened 2 or 3 years ago, because from my perspective and my experience, it seemed like for the most part, leadership decided to get out of the promotional products industry 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, it felt that way, and it made it, to your point, now, even more than recently, it was just like, hey, we're going to do, they couldn't decide. Are we, okay, do we do samples for free? Do we do artwork for free? No, we're going to charge $125 to do artwork. Oh, well, then you don't want to do that. Like it was, so having an organization, whether it's Koozie or anybody, somebody who lives in this space to do this space, I think does make some sense. So
it makes all the sense in the world. I just wonder if it's too little too late. Partnering with and Koozie's a great company, by the way, to partner with. In fact, it's probably the ideal partner. They're both in Florida. Koozie has a tremendous track record with drinkware. So I think it's, and they're already selling Tervis.
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah.
You know, I've never understood when there's a factory, Tervis, and then they also sell through other channels in the promotional products industry. So now you're fighting against each other. I just have never understood that. Pick a lane.
Yeah.
Pick a lane. And now they've chosen a lane because the lane has been chosen for them.
That's right.
Hey, Kirby, you know something?
What's that?
A lot of people in our industry know, like, intuitively how to build a business, but very few understand not only when to sell your business, but the process involved to ensure that the right partner is found and you can maximize the return on your investment. Honestly, you need an expert, especially a promotional products industry expert, to help you, which is where the good folks over at Certified Marketing Consultants come in. Jamie Watson and her team have decades of experience in facilitating private company sales in the branded merchandise space. To help you evaluate if it's time to sell your business, reach out to CMC at info@certifiedmarketing.com for a confidential discussion today. All right, Kirby. I've got 863 topics. Let's go with this very interesting return to office study.
Okay, love it.
It is something that, you know, we talk about the pendulum swinging back and forth, and it really went one way during the pandemic, and now it seems to be going the other way. And what I'm talking about is obviously people working from home versus in the office.
Right.
I don't necessarily want to debate should people be in the office or not. I want to do some takeaways, though, from this very interesting study. So Bamboo HR surveyed 1,500 professionals, executives, and employees on the return to office mandate. So overall, the return to office mandates has been a poorly executed failure, and some figures really stood out. Now, these ones, first of all, come from management, okay? 25% of executives hoped the return to office mandates would result in staff leaving.
They hoped it would.
They hoped it would.
Okay.
Yeah. 37% had undertaken layoffs as a result of too few people quitting in protest of return to office mandates.
Okay.
And 35% felt they needed employees back in the office to monitor them more closely.
Okay.
Very interesting findings here. Now, let's get to the perspective of the employees now, Kirby.
Wow.
42% say they show up to work solely to be seen by their bosses. 59% say they spend around 2 hours a day not working, regardless whether they are in the office or remote. And 73% feel the need to demonstrate their presence by being hyper available and never going offline. That's one that really jumped out at me. 73% feel like they have to be hyper available. And then last statistic, and this came from HR. 22% of HR professionals admitted that even though the return to office was implemented, they had no metrics in place to measure success. So I've got some thoughts on all this. It's just some very interesting things. Do you want me to go first, or would you like to go first on this?
I have one take that I'll give you right away.
Yeah.
Just based on what you just said, and then I'd love to hear what you have to say. So just the first thing is like, it was fascinating to hear that the leaders were hoping people would quit. And then so that was fascinating. The other thing was that if we are admitting that we spend 2 hours a day not working, whether you're at home or at the office, then it's kind of weird to complain that they're making you come back to the office because that you're so much more effective at home. Like, so those were just two things that popped off the numbers to me. So go ahead.
My takeaways were a couple. The results clearly show that spending time in the office does not necessarily suggest more work is getting done.
Okay. Yep.
It really doesn't. I think, as I looked at all this, it did not surprise me that a lot of managers hoped that return to office mandates would have encouraged people to quit, because when people quit, you don't have to pay benefits and all those type of things.
Yeah.
And I was talking to someone this week in our industry, talking about return to office, and that in the pandemic, because it's all kind of wrapped into the same discussion. I think we're going to look back that the pandemic certainly had negative things, and all the way we work and all that, but there were some positive opportunities
Yeah.
to right size your organization.
Mm.
And what happens when people are uncomfortable saying, we're terminating you because you're not good, or it's not working, they do weird things and try to force people to quit. And so that did not necessarily surprise me, that I think this whole return to office just for the sake of returning to office, there has to be a reason for it. There was a reason you put people out of the office, the pandemic and all this. We want to be productive. There needs to be an equal reason that we need to be back in the office. And I think you have to have that conversation, because what this does, when you say, hey, we've basically got a big building and we need to fill it.
Yeah.
It creates a culture of distrust. I work from home. This is my house. You work from your office. Sometimes you work from home. There are probably 90 minutes to 2 hours a day I don't work during a work day. Or I'm sorry, 90 minutes to 2 hours, not 2 minutes. I'm making lunch. I go for a run.
Yeah.
I'm mentally fried. I need to just give my brain a break.
Yeah.
I don't that stuff is interesting to me. I think we need, and we've talked about this before, but I think this really underscores we need to measure employees on performance, not attendance. And the last thing I want to say is, I hate this statistic. 73% need to feel the need to demonstrate presence by being hyper available and never going offline. I absolutely hate that. We are creating a culture and encouraging burnout is what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That study is really fascinating. And I struggle in this because, of course, my team is small. And all of my team, so the sales reps all are remote. And then actually one of my sales reps is now an inside salesperson, but she enjoyed working remote, so she works remote. I'm not going to fight you on that. If you're doing the job, I don't care.
Yeah.
I think the rest of us, and Jade ultimately is working from the office now, but she will be working remote.
Sure.
So, but I think the rest of us kind of enjoy having a place where we go to work. But
Absolutely.
So I do think it's different for every organization. And I think your point about communicating and being transparent is a good one, because I don't think that if the leaders of the organization said, hey man, we got this big building and we need to fill it, I don't think that necessarily builds mistrust if they actually said it and were honest about it.
Right.
The problem is they're not saying that.
Yeah, they're not. And again, it's just having that open communication. Look, we want people in the office because we feel it fosters creativity. Let's, you can work with people. And again, the larger the organization, certainly the more complex this gets. And you start off with 2 days a week, I need you in the office or whatever it is. And I miss going to an office, even though I'm home alone all day. I miss that, just going to an office from time to time. I don't know. I think, I think we're going to look back at the pandemic. What did it really mean? We look back at, how long when we were growing up, even, what did the depression, what kind of issues did it cause? What did it solve? All those things. We're going to look back on corporate America and how it shifted. And right now it feels like there's this forced move to, we are going back to the office, whether you like it or not, whether we need to or not. And there is not time. It's tough.
Your point is a good one, where you're like, hey, we're the pendulum swings, right? So I think I've told you this before. I don't know if I've said it on this podcast or not, but during the pandemic, Aim and I bought a couple pieces of property. And during that time, we weren't allowed to meet in person and we weren't, all that stuff. And so
Yeah.
we were able to do that over Zoom meetings, digital signatures, all that sort of thing.
Mm.
And as soon as we were allowed, all the banks and mortgage companies want you to, okay, please drive to Athens, Ohio to sign this paper.
Yeah.
And I was all, I've been, no,
Yeah.
no, why would we go back to that? Like that just doesn't make sense. And I feel like that's what people are saying about work. Those people who are killing it at work and they are extremely wonderful achievers. Like one of my best friends has been working from home for 20 years. The great news is the pandemic had the company go, oh, okay, you're good. Like, because he's proven it over time. And I think one size doesn't fit all. I think that's the part that I guess comes to mind.
When I first started working from home, and it was years ago, back when I was living in Dallas, for crying out loud, when I was 26, 27, I had a home-based job, and I'll tell you, I was awful at it. Didn't know how to manage my time. I didn't know how not to screw off all day long.
Right.
I didn't know how to apply myself. Over time, when I worked from home, even when I had an office, when I worked from home, wow, I was far more efficient. I could get a lot more done because there were a lot less distractions.
Sure.
There is a happy medium.
Yeah,
and again, it is individual based. So really interesting study. All right, Kirby, what else do you have for us to talk about on the Promo Upfront podcast today?
All right. This might be a quick one. I just think this is funny. So a government agency so secret that it denied its own existence for years is now looking for a little recognition. So a series called No Such Podcast, in a nod to the NSA, used to be No Such Agency. There's now 3 episodes available diving into NSA code breakers. So the NSA has created a podcast to promote the NSA. I found that incredibly fascinating. And they're saying that part of the idea is to, I'm trying to find my notes here, but it's essentially trying to say, we want to convince smart tech grads to work for them instead of Google or some of these other things. So they're telling their story so that they can do recruiting. What do you think of that idea of doing a podcast or something like this in order to tell that?
My understanding is that anybody who listens to that podcast is actually putting a super bug in their phone that will allow the NSA to monitor and track their movements across not only states but countries. No, it's
They're
funny.
already doing that.
Yeah, I know. Sure, why not? Look, government needs talent, just like private company needs talent. And if they feel that a podcast is the way to do that, sure. Do I see the podcast as a way to do that? No, I don't. I think they'd be probably better off going to career fairs at colleges, but what am I to say?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yeah, it is interesting. No.
Next topic.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Next topic. All right. Hey, are you familiar with Forbes, the magazine?
Yes, I am.
Super. They had a lot of these online magazines that used to be print magazines, a lot of articles, and they have a lot of outside contributors. So absolutely your mileage may vary when you find a clickbait topic, which I did.
Okay.
So they wanted to do keeping up with the trends, 20 strategies for chief marketing officers.
Okay.
I'd say well, that's okay. 15 of them were extraordinarily generic. And so we're not going to talk about like attend networking events. Hi, no shit. That sounds super. But
Totally
but a few actually stuck out with me. And so it was one of those weird articles where someone wrote one paragraph, they polled 20 chief marketing officers and what they see the trends are for each one of them and listed those. So, but a couple actually did jump out at me, and I want to get your take. And I don't think, and someone, this is really interesting. Take a hands-on approach to learning marketing tech like AI as opposed to leaving it to your team. I love that.
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I assume you do as well.
Well, I like it. And I think that it was funny because, at the Gap event, you did a great job of talking about how you implement AI. Brittany Godsey talked about AI. And then at the very end, I don't know if you know this, but I caught the tail end of Jared Thorndike's presentation, and it was about AI too. And so, yes, do hands-on so that you understand. And now's the perfect time to get ahead of the curve on this stuff. So yeah, that's great.
Yeah, as I said in my talk at Gap, and I say it a lot, I am absolutely embrace AI. I
Yeah,
do my best to learn AI and leverage it. And it also scares the hell out of me
sure.
because it's just so weird and different. And those two are not mutually exclusive. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. Number two, participate in the flow of communication. Collaborate with tech companies. Beta test tools before they're public if you can.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic one.
Yeah,
Where
absolutely.
you collaborate with other companies as they're rolling out new products and understand. I have the good fortune of being a beta tester for Apple iOS, so I've been on iOS 18 since early July,
Yeah.
and certainly experienced some of the bugs there. But now everybody's talking about the new features of iOS 18. And I'm like, yeah, it feels kind of cool that I've been messing with it for 3 months.
I love that. Yeah.
Here's one I know you do, I know I do, but I don't think enough people do. Have an advisory council, kind of
Mm,
a circle of trust of maybe 2 or 3 people who are not in your business and
yeah.
maybe not even in your industry, where you can say, hey, can you look at this through your lens and tell me what you like? More importantly, what you don't like and what you change.
Yeah. No. And again, I think that, and be willing to hear it. Like, I think sometimes
Yeah.
John Acuff talks about this. He's like, his wife always asks him, he's like, do you want feedback or do you want compliments?
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
I was like, so be real, if be real clear that you want feedback.
100%. Um, Prioritize recap outlets. Take time every day to catch up on news and
Mm,
trends.
yeah.
I think, one of the great things about this podcast, it forces me to do that.
Yeah. That's a great point.
And I'm not sure I would actually make it a priority without the podcast. I would
Same.
need to. I'm not sure I would. So
Yeah.
I know, I'm pretty sure you agree with that one as well.
Yeah, we've talked about the morning brew and the marketing brew. Like, that's sort of
Yeah.
one of the places where I do that. So yeah, agreed.
And then here's one I don't think we all need to improve on, I should say. So we do need to do this. Consume content from diverse voices,
Mm,
women, men, people in different functions, different industries, different cultures, different ages,
that's a
different
great point.
races. And I love that. I think we get so used to consuming content from people who look a lot like ourselves,
Sure.
and we experience the same things we're experiencing. So I think being intentional and saying, I need a perspective that is not generic white male in
Mm,
his, mid 50s.
yeah. No, I think that is something I probably go, I go like this on that. Like, I'll
Yeah.
seek it out, and then I fall back into my routines. What I love is when I do that and then find somebody who is outside of my, like, the one that comes into my mind is
Mhm.
like Cody Sanchez. She's very
Yeah.
entrepreneurial, so it's in there, but she doesn't look like me. She doesn't sound like me. Her background is totally different.
Mm.
And I love those kind of people because then they make me think differently. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree with that one. That's really good. I
So
need to do a better job.
so 25% of the 20 trends for CMOs were good. The other 15 were stupid and generic.
Yeah, love it.
Do you have any other topics for us, or are we done? Are we good?
I could.
You got a quick one? I don't care.
So, did you see that Travis and Jason Kelsey signed a podcast deal? A
A couple weeks
3 year,
ago, I think I
yeah,
did.
3 year deal
Yeah.
with Wondery for their podcast. It's like $100
Yeah.
million bucks. So,
Yep.
A, are you going to listen to that podcast if you haven't already
Mhm.
started? And B,
Mhm.
have you been out shopping with Amazon or Spotify for us to get $100 million deal?
Yeah, so here's the deal. I have listened to the Kelsey podcast. I forget the name of it. I do download it.
New
New Heights
Heights.
podcast. Yeah.
Yep.
And so yeah, it's good. I think they're
Yeah.
very good. I
Yeah,
think
they are good.
of the two, I think Jason is a far more articulate, far more my speed. Travis can sometimes, sounds like a cheese grater on my spinal cord a little bit. It's a little much for me, but I think it's great. I think, we see these arms races in different industries from time to time. I think we're seeing it a lot right now in the podcast universe. I saw where the Smartless podcast, the one with Jason Bateman in Sean Hayes and Will, what's his name? Whatever. They just
Mhm.
signed a deal with SiriusXM.
Yeah.
They were on Wondery and they just went to SiriusXM. So to the second part of your question, Kirby, I have done shopping and it's amazing the lack of interest that has been displayed by Apple Podcasts, by Amazon, by Spotify, by Wondery, and by SiriusXM for the amazing content we provide. Honestly, it's quite shocking to me. I have gone to great lengths to explain, hey, we've got 6 listeners and 2 of them joined in the last 30 days. So you're looking at exponential increase at this point from a percentage perspective.
Yeah.
Kind of think you're missing the boat, but again, falling on deaf ears, Kirby, much to my chagrin.
I appreciate you reaching out anyway.
Hey, when we get to double-digit listeners,
Watch
you
out.
better believe I'm darkening that doorstep again of each of
Yeah.
those places. But
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, speaking of doorsteps, nothing better than a branded mat. Right when you are at a doorstep, when you're at a hallway entering anything, and there's no better place to get a cool, awesome, a branded mat than our good pals over at Logo Mats. Now, hey, it's mid-September. Before you know it, you're going to hear the jingle bells of Santa Claus because it's going to be winter. And now is the time to go ahead and get winter ready with the best promo mats in the land from Logo Mats. The Water Hog Impressions HD, that's going to hold up to 1.5 gallons of water per square yard. That's amazing. The Berber Impressions mat, 80% recycled content reclaimed from plastic. Both of them HD digital printing, so you're going to be able to put whatever you want on there, and it's going to look absolutely amazing. And it's going to not only look amazing, it's going to provide some nice safety features and keep your facility clean. You want to learn more about those mats? You damn right you do. Head over to logomatsllc.com. Good folks, Miles Wadsworth and the good folks over there will take care of you, and they're going to help you and your clients stand out where others are simply content to fit in. Now, Kirby, if you'll excuse me, I've got to go shop our podcast again.